It's mailbag time here on NFL Daily. Mitchell Renz, Chat Sports, ready to answer your questions. This first one's coming in from Josh Harsha. Who do you think is going to win it all in the NFL? I don't want to say Kansas City because they're playing really well. My sleeper team right now is Indianapolis. That's how well they're playing. I'm going to go a different route here. I'm going to go for the team that, if it's not the Raiders, I want to win the Super Bowl, and that's the Buffalo Bills. Let's go to Kryana? All right. Do you think the Chiefs should trade Frank Clark and draft another defensive end in the draft? Do I think that they should draft another defensive end? Yes. The other issue here with Frank Clark is who wants Frank Clark for the amount of money that he's getting? He has not been worth it. When he wants to play, maybe he can end up playing. It definitely hasn't had the turnaround like Chris Jones has had, but who's going to trade for Frank Clark? Not many teams. Let's go to Real Boss. Do you think the Falcons make the wild card they trade Matt to the Steelers for a first-round pick? So in terms of making the wild card, no, I don't see that happening. And then would you trade Matt to the Steelers for a first-round pick? If I was Atlanta, yeah, I would trade Matt Ryan for a first-round pick. I think you could even maybe get more. I mean, think about Stafford went for 2. Carson Wentz basically went for 1 and 2. So I really, truly believe that, yes, you could trade him to the Steelers. And if I was Pittsburgh and I thought I was a quarterback away from being win now, I would consider this. The other issue is this. You have Ben Roethlisberger. You just moved on from him, or you're going to move on from him. To go to another aging quarterback on his downside, I don't know, man. Let's go to Judge Jerry. Will Derrick Henry return this season? Well, I did see a report that did say Henry has a chance to come back in Week 18 to get the rust off of him. If I'm Derrick Henry and I have a chance to get back out on the field, obviously I would like to be able to do it. You only do it, though, if he's 100% healthy. You know, if you're Tennessee, you're more than likely going to make the playoffs. Now, if they lose this next week and their playoff chances get put in jeopardy, then sure, you throw him out there. You see what he's able to do. I personally believe, though, that, yes, you could see Derrick Henry in Week 18. I'd probably only put it at like a 20% chance. But in the wild card, oh, dude, Henry's playing. But when I think of Derrick Henry, I think of 2 really, really good running backs. And I think of the top 2 backs in the league right now are Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry. Sure, you might be able to throw if Christian McCaffrey's healthy, if Dalvin Cook's out there as well. But I think we would agree. These 2 guys, most people would say, are definitely in the top 5 of running backs. Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. Who's the better back? Type DH for Henry or JT for Jonathan Taylor? Let's go to Baylee. Seahawks getting rid of Wilson or Carroll. So if I had to guess who's more likely, I'll say Russell Wilson. I would be pretty shocked if they let go of Pete Carrol, but I'll say yes to Russell Wilson. I'm not going to say 100%. I really think that there's a very high chance. Pete Carrol, though, I believe he's actually the oldest head coach right now in football, even though he doesn't act like it. But if you're going to move on from Wilson, maybe decide to move on from Pete Carroll as well. Let's go to Mason Steven. Will the Panthers trade Christian McCaffrey? Here's another reason why the answer to this is probably no. What team out there is going to try to take on the contract that McCaffrey has? Not saying he's not great. We know he's an amazing running back. I wouldn't trade probably a first-round pick to go out and get a running back for $16 million a year at the easiest position to be able to replace on offense when he's had the amount of injuries that he's had. Would you? No. Let's go to Brandon Peck. What is the score you have for the Cowboys and Philly? Well, if I really had to think about it, I like the Cowboys to win that game. I would probably take Dallas. I'm going to go 30-23 off the top of my head. If I do a little bit more homework on it, which I will end up doing because I'm going to be making bets later on in the week. But first thing off my head goes 30-23 Dallas. The Lunatic, what up, man? Better shot at winning Defensive Player of the Year, Micah or Diggs? The answer is probably Micah, not because that I don't think Diggs deserve it. I mean, anytime you have 10 interceptions in a season, it's phenomenal. But Xavier Howard had 10 picks last year, and out of the 50 Defensive Player of the Year votes, he only got 3 of them. And I really think what Howard did last year is actually more impressive than Diggs this year. It's just what I personally think. He was more shut down. So I'll go with Parsons because it usually goes to a guy who gets a lot of sack totals. What up, Baylee? Most disappointing team this year overall. From top to bottom, I mean, I guess I'm going to go Seattle. I get that Russell Wilson has been battling some injuries, but, I mean, think about it. I mean, it's been a really, really big disaster. I might also go ahead and say Jacksonville because I know a lot of people, when they paid Urban Meyer the amount of money they did, they're like, oh, you got Trevor Lawrence. It's going to be a total change. That quite didn't happen. So I am, though, going to say Seattle. I think most people for Seahawks fans, also the Browns, had some high hopes on the Browns as well. Now, if you guys want a sweatshirt, maybe you're a Seahawks fan and you need something to soak up all those tears, the sweatshirt, I don't know if it's water resistant. It looks like it. Chatsports.com/NFL hoodie. That's the link that's available. Now, if you're in Miami, I don't know if you're ever going to need a sweatshirt, but hey, it sounds like a pretty good gift to me. My mom always says, I'm going to move to Miami when I get older. She's always cold. Go ahead and get her a sweatshirt. Maybe Santa Claus didn't visit you. Maybe you didn't get what you wanted for the holidays. And if you're like me, you can find a lot of good deals after the holidays, and that's exactly what this is. If you need an NFL hoodie of your favorite team, we got them all for all 32 teams, hundreds of different types of sweatshirts. Go to the link that you see below, chatsports.com/NFL hoodie, 50% off. It's a pretty darn good deal. Actually, some of these are as low as $32. $32 for a hoodie, NFL caliber hoodie. Is that the right word? NFL brand? I don't know. Really nice hoodies, 50% off. Chatsports.com/NFL hoodie. Let's go to Otis. What up, Otis? Mitch, you're a Raider guy. Thoughts on the Steelers trading 2 first-round picks for Derek Carr? So I know we were asked earlier about a trade about Matt Ryan to Pittsburgh. If you were the Steelers, you absolutely go out and try to trade for Derek Carr if he becomes available. Obviously, the issue is DC said this offseason that he only wants to play for the Raiders and he would actually rather retire than play. I personally would call that bluff. But if you're Pittsburgh, you have all the pieces. You need a quarterback. Carr has definitely been given the short end of the stick with all his different head coaches, offensive coordinators, and if you're a team in win-now mode, I would trade for Derek Carr. And if I was the Raiders and you can get 2 first-round picks for him, yeah, I think it's a trade that helps out both sides. Now, if a deal like this ends up going down, you know what I'm going to say. Subscribe to Chat Sports. Not only am I going to go live on the Raiders Report, we're probably going to be going live here on Chat Sports as well. If you're a guy that likes videos every day, I take a lot of pride when I go home, and obviously this is what I do for work, but when I talk to people that know sports, I like being able to talk sports. You ever have that one friend or that one random person? I have an uncle who always tries to talk sports to me, and I'm like, dude, it's absolutely killing me right now. Don't be that guy. If you subscribe to Chat Sports, you're going to know your stuff. You're going to know your content. You're not going to be that one dude that's sitting at the bar talking stuff, probably still wears his Letterman jacket. Don't be that guy. Hit the big red button underneath this video, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. How does that keep happening? Are we good? We're back. All right, Baylee, will Rodgers retire if he wins the Super Bowl? I have no idea. Rodgers has said that if he can continue to play at a high level, he's going to continue to try to play at a high level. If he wants to retire, though, he'll retire. Aaron's probably one of the hardest guys to be able to put your finger on because you just have no idea what the heck he's going to do. Let's go to Sally Boy. Who win, Packers or Vikings? Give me Green Bay. That's the team that I took in my Amazon Alexa videos. And if you're a Packers fan and you have an Echo device, I want you to look at it and say, hey, Alexa, give me the Packers 2-minute drill. Let's go to Cash Black. Will the Saints try to get Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett? Will they try to get a quarterback in the draft? Wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. If I was one of those quarterbacks, I would love to be able to be put with Sean Payton. I get it. They don't have a lot of talent at the wide receiver position right now, but I would absolutely think the smartest thing for New Orleans is to either take a quarterback early or go out and try to get somebody because their overall roster is ready to win right now. And if they were able to find a diamond in the rough and able to build around somebody, like if you were able to find Justin Herbert in his rookie year and put him on that Saints team, good luck. Good luck trying to stop them. Let's go to the Lunatic. Give me 2 big names that will be changing teams in 2022. Well, the easy ones are Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. I'll also throw out the name Derek Carr. I don't see him being on the Raiders. I don't see Deshaun Watson being on the Houston Texans. Devontae Adams, he's not going to be on the Green Bay Packers anymore. Allen Robinson won't be on the Bears because he's a free agent. And then is that pretty good? I think that's a decent amount of names. Let's go to Gerardo Mendoza, right above the line. Are you going to go live on the Raiders channel for the new signs? New sign guy? If the Raiders go out and they sign players in the offseason, yes. Every single big-time signing, we will go live for it. My famous show that I did on the Raiders Report last year was when the Raiders signed Kenyon Drake. Made a lot of money and got the entire office drunk. Had a lot of fun. But yes, we will go live. We'll also be doing a lot of free agency videos as well on this channel as well, so make sure you subscribe. Let's go to J-Rock. Chargers OC Joe Lombardi be a head coach candidate in 2022. Will he be a head coach candidate? Yeah, I mean, obviously. I mean, I think the job that – I got a burp, hang on. The job that Lombardi has been able to do with Justin Herbert deserves a lot of credit. Now, I think we all saw Herbert was going to be a good quarterback from top to bottom, right? So the fact that they cleaned out their whole staff, but I have been impressed by Lombardi, sure, and he's going to be a candidate. He's going to be a name to keep in mind. But if I was a team and I'm looking for an offensive coordinator, the top OCs that I'm calling right now, I'm calling Brian Dable, Eric Bieniemy, Nathaniel Hackett, Kellen Moore, and I'm going to go ahead and probably feel like there's one more name that I'm forgetting for whatever reason. Todd Bowles is the defensive-minded guy. Those are some of the offensive coordinators that come to my mind right off the top of my head. All right, what is the biggest game of the week? There's a lot of NFL games. There's no Thursday Night Football this week. Personally, for me, when I look at some of these games on the slate, I'm going to say Raiders-Colts because I'm just a Raiders guy. But that Chiefs and Bengals game, that one really, really is interesting to me. I know the Rams have a pretty tough game as well. The Titans and Dolphins game has a lot riding on it. So please, let me know down in the comments section, what is the biggest game of the week? What up, Kim? Why isn't Brian Flores getting mentioned as Coach of the Year? Well, I guess I'll say probably two reasons is the Dolphins are only 8-7, though I do agree with you. The fact that Miami is the very first team in NFL history to lose 7 games in a row, at once 1-7, and are now 8-7 is pretty amazing to me. I mean, the amount of perseverance that it takes not only for a coach, the entire staff, and then a young team to be able to rally every single week and say, guys, we can do this. That's amazing. I do personally believe that Flores deserves to be in the Coach of the Year discussion, but I also said that last year, and he really wasn't in it. But as far as I'm concerned, Kim, yeah, you're right. He deserves to be in the conversation. I just don't think that he's going to end up getting it because it usually goes to a team that's the number 1, the number 2 overall seed. Let's go to Holden E. What does Holden and E look like? Should the Vikings draft a quarterback round 1 and trade Kirk for a first-rounder? If you can trade Kirk Cousins for a first-round pick, I say you go ahead and do so. Statistically, Cousins is a good quarterback this season, though I really truly believe if you put him on another offense that didn't have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, and all the playmakers, even KJ Osborne, he would struggle a lot. Plus, if I was a team that thought I could compete, I wouldn't trade for a quarterback who literally can't play if it's dark out. So if I was the Vikings and you had a quarterback out there, sure, you can at least look into it, though I would rather build the offensive line and I would try to find a potential Danielle Hunter replacement because even though Hunter's amazing, he's got a lot of injuries, and you also need to find some cornerbacks as well in the first round. Let's go to Gurzy. Thoughts on the future of the New York Jets. Gurzy, I've never been to your house, but I want you to walk down the hall, and then I want you to walk into the bathroom. I want you to squat down and not use toilet paper because that's the future of the New York Jets. They've been an absolute joke of a franchise for such a long time, and if you want, you can rub some Johnson & Johnson on you if it was a rough one. Let's go to Baylee. Biggest takeaway from this year from a fantasy football perspective. Now, my biggest takeaway is if you're in a fantasy league that does 2-week championships, you're dumb. Get out of those leagues ASAP Rocky. Sorry, Chugs. I also love 2 quarterback leagues. If you're not in a 2 quarterback league, get in one as soon as possible because the quarterback position, when you do 2 of them, it makes it so much more competitive. And then my last takeaway is if you can get one of those top running backs that you know is going to get a lot of touches, sure, you can risk some injury. I'm going to go ahead and take those guys because there's so many amazing, talented wide receivers that pop up every year, like a Deebo Samuel. Yeah, I have him on basically all my leagues. Those are my takeaways for fantasy football. Now, if you want to talk more fantasy with me, I literally got my start in this industry doing fantasy. I used to write for Fantasy Pros. I used to actually do their start sit. I did stuff for the fantasy footballers. I did stuff for Gridiron Experts. I did a lot of fantasy stuff, actually. And then I realized, well, not a lot of money in fantasy football. So I came over to Chat Sports. Now we do a lot of other NFL content, but I love it. I really, truly do. It's probably one of my favorite things to be able to talk about outside of just normal sports content. Now, I'm definitely more of a sports bettor now because that pays my bills, and I love betting on sports. But, yeah, if you guys ever want to have any fantasy questions, please don't be afraid to ask me. Now, the new year is almost here. It's crazy to think that 2022 is here. Hopefully it's better than 2020, right? Yeah, it better be. Give me one of your New Year's resolutions. Usually ones that are like, I want to lose some weight, or I'm going to try to ride a bicycle, or I don't know, I don't want to drink for the entire month of January. Give me a New Year's resolution that you have. Throw it down in the comments section. Who knows? You might see it on a future show. Let's go to Ben P. How do you think the Chiefs overcome their defense and offensive line struggles? It's a good question. Their defensive line struggles, I think they just got to be able to get more talent at the edge position. Chris Jones has been a little bit up and down for me this season, and Frank Clark is, Frank Clark. In terms of the offensive line, they got to get a little bit more healthy. I'll also say that the Chiefs' offensive line sometimes gets the short end of the stick because the offensive plays that they do, they take a lot of time to end up happening. And when you've had the amount of injuries that the Chiefs have had in recent years to the offensive line, they have definitely have some struggles, but they're going to be able to figure it out. They got good coaches, and I think Andy Reid's one of the best in the biz. Let's go to Baylee. Who is more important for the success of New England this year, Mac Jones or Bill Belichick? I'm going to go Bill Belichick. He's the greatest coach of all time. I get Mac's the one out there, but the defensive schemes that Bill puts together, the offensive schemes that Bill puts together, everything that Bill Belichick has been able to do. I mean, if you're going to talk about going into Foxborough in a playoff game or playing against the Patriots, people aren't going to talk about Mac Jones. They might talk about him a little bit. They're going to talk about the coach that's won more Super Bowls than literally anybody. That's Bill Belichick. So I'm going to go ahead and say the best coach ever, Bill.